All right. This video is really designed. This isn't new information, by the way. You've probably seen it start getting around. I wanted to cover it because I believe that it's worthwhile to update people who are oblivious, and some of that in being oblivious is by choice. Okay? And I want to be very clear about that. A lot of people choose not to see what is there because they're afraid of what's going to be more so uncovered. Definitely when they're opposition, the people that have been telling them this are in the right. Okay? So let's watch this. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to wrap everything up after we watch this. So let's take a look real quick. This is Patrisse Cullors. I have no idea how to say her name. She's one of the founders of Black Lives Matter, the organization that is. The move, look, there's a separation between when people just say Black Lives Matter generically, it's kind of veered off into its own movement just of people that don't even really understand that there is an organization in some cases. But so they're not the exact same. Obviously they're connected, but they're not the exact same. But we're talking about specifically a founder of one of the three founders of the movement or the organization, more so, excuse me, in Black Lives Matter. So let's take a look at what she's appearing on some guy's network. I'm not familiar with who this guy is, but she's appearing on this dude's network talking about these different things.
Concerned that that there's a lack of perhaps ideological direction in Black Lives Matter that would allow it to fizzle out, as he said, in comparison to Occupy Wall Street. As you are advanced in your own organization, as you all are headed to Cleveland to participate in this Black Lives Movement conference, how do you respond to that particular critique? Again, a loving critique from an elder of the struggle that some others share, that I've even shared as well, to be frank, as a concern about, in part because of the co-optation and the appropriation, that a more clear ideological structuring might be of some value here. But how do you respond to those kinds of, again, loving criticism?
And so before she answers, basically what he is asking is, there's people that have been within even this, movement of struggle that has criticized Black Lives Matter in terms of not having really any ideological direction. He's saying like maybe that has to attribute to like people co-opting the movement and making it theirs and their own. And he said that he's criticized this in the past. So one of the founders, in Patrisse, she's about to answer that specific question as far as them not having, or this criticism that they don't really have an ideological foundation.
I think that the criticism is helpful. I also think that it might, I think of a lot of things. The first thing I think is that we actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super
that's
versed on sort of ideological theories.
So basically, she just flat out said it. That's what they're out, and she mentions Alicia. That's another founder, one of the two. So that's two founders, right? That she didn't mention the other, but two of them are admitting right there. Like their ideological foundation. Their ideological foundation is Marxism. The trained Marxist. That's exactly what she just admitted. She just said it. That wasn't a secret. I've long known that, but for those of you that have been on the fence with this, you heard it from the horse's mouth. So this is why it's not actually even a co-op. So even sometimes I misspeak and I kind of suggest that. I don't necessarily just say that. But I kind of allude to it, let's say that. But it's not necessarily a co-op when we talk about these like white leftist communists and so forth. It's not a co-op. That's what they believe in. So all of you crackheads that have been centering your last 2 weeks of your life around donating to this organization. You need to understand what you've been funding. You have been funding Marxism. Okay? It's not a secret. There's so many of you guys, including people in my genre, metalcore, hardcore, because everybody's virtue signaling. So they would sell merch, half of the proceeds, if not all of the proceeds, going to where? Black Lives Matter. You are funding Marxists, okay? So some of you guys are proud of that. Whatever. But a lot of you guys would deny that that's the case because when people call that communism or we call that Marxism, people think that it's just like, you're just saying it, right? Everybody's a communist. It's like McCarthyism. Yeah. Speaking of McCarthyism. But anybody that could pick up how they navigate would have been long able to sniff this out. You've been funding Marxists. Admitted, trained Marxists. She just told you, bro. Admitted, trained Marxists. And I think this is a failure of education. This is why the state should monopolize it. Because Marxism is an ideology, that has killed millions upon millions of people. Now we look at Nazism and we see that as an objectively bad thing, as we should. Because it is objectively bad. It's not a good thing. But you look at Stalin and Zedong or Mao and Pol Pot, and spots and pockets of Africa, all over the world. This ideology has a body count that far surpasses Nazism. Now, I would say they're close together. Now, that's another thing. Schools, they teach you like as if Nazism and communism are on two completely different sides of the political spectrum, which is silly. When you consider that for a long period of time, socialism and communism were basically interchangeable terms. And then you look at godfathers of fascism, like Mussolini, who was a Marxist. Nonetheless, that's the only difference is really just international. One's international socialism, one's more of a national form of socialism. That's it. That's really the difference. However, communism, proud communist, Marxist, have a body count that is unlike anybody else in recent history. And you have people that are parading around as if this is a good ideology to adopt. This anti-property rights, anti-voluntary exchange, anti-self-ownership, and certainly anti-non-aggression. This, and I think a lot of people, and this is sort of how leftists, like more mainstream leftists, like Democrats, who maybe not be Marxists per se, but they fostered this culture, right? They fostered this these sorts of people because they've been used for idiots for them. I think now we're seeing a point with some of the things that are breaking out around the country. You're seeing that the people that are like they're running the asylum now in a sense, but that's partially because Democrats and mainstream leftists have fostered this. They've coddled these guys. They've protected these types. Said that they weren't what they were. Oh, you're just being over dramatic. Why would you say that? Like, you think that it's just some coincidence that groups like or people that are proudly, which is another kind of less organized group. When you look at what you guys consider Antifa. It's not a secret as to why they latched their wagon onto like Black Lives Matter. Because they both with the black and red. So a lot of you who have been signaling your pants off have been donating money to Marxists. And a lot of you guys are okay with that. That's fine. It's not fine, but you know, whatever. Some of you guys are proud. That's not necessarily who I'm actually talking about. I'm talking to some of you other guys who have been very dishonest, and even going as far as to claim people are lying when they say that this movement is attached to Marxism. That's exactly what it's attached to. So you can sit up here and be mad, be upset. I gave it to you right from the horse's mouth. And like I said, that's not news. It's just got to update your resume, if you will. Show y'all that this is what it is. So don't sit up here and try to be lecturing people about this. This is just what it is. And a lot of you guys have been funny. Some of you guys are proud. Some of you got egg on your face. I don't care either way. Marxist is a deadly ideology. It should be shunned. It should be shamed. And I absolutely will continue to do so.